Ever since the release of the original Nintendo Switch, I have been waiting for a StarFox game. I love the form factor, the portability of the Switch, and that love transfers over now to the Switch too. And thankfully, finally, we have a StarFox title on the Nintendo Switch too. The main question that I have for this new StarFox game, will this be the definitive StarFox experience? Meaning that whenever I want to go back and play that classic campaign, will this replace the 64 or the 3DS for me? Let's take a look at the game and find out. For the main campaign of StarFox on the Switch 2, you take control of Fox McCloud, the leader of the StarFox gang. Also in that crew is Falco Lombardi, Fox's rival, Slippy Toad, the kooky, weird engineer frog guy, and Peppy Hare, the older, wise kind of cowboy of the group. The controls of this game are absolutely fantastic. I love how tight these controls are. It really feels smooth. Everything runs at a solid frame rate. There's really no dips. Everything just looks absolutely fantastic. I've gone through every single mission in this campaign, and I had no technical errors the entire time. Speaking of the main campaign, I wanted to talk a little bit about the levels here. The thing that's so fun about StarFox is that it has branching paths. So depending on how you're playing or how you're doing will determine which route you take. So if you get all of the objectives completed in the mission, you get a mission accomplished at the end. And then you have a choice. Do you want to go to this planet? Do you want to go to that planet? What do you want to do next? And it kind of gives you some options. But if you don't complete those missions, you will be funneled the easier route of the campaign. Each run of the campaign is roughly about 45 minutes or so, depending on how you're doing or how many times you're dying, but, about 45 minutes. You will go to 6 planets, with the first planet always being Corneria, and the last 7th planet always being Venom. But the middle planets are really up to you. You can kind of go any way you want. And that's sort of the fun of StarFox, is going back through this campaign and doing routes very, very differently. In this game, one of the things that I didn't expect to love, but I fell in love with immediately, were the cutscenes. It's weird to say in an action on-rails shooter, one of my favorite aspects of the game are the cutscenes. The characters are so fleshed out in this. This is the best these characters have ever been in any game. And it's interesting because depending on how you play, will not only affect the course of where you will go next in the campaign, but also what the cutscenes will be like after your missions and before your next mission, which is almost the coolest part. I've gone through the campaign about 4 or 5 times now. I've done it on easy difficulty, on normal difficulty, and I'm trying to unlock the expert difficulty as we speak. And it's kind of cool when I do different things intentionally. It'll go to the next campaign cutscene, and I'm expecting it to go a certain way because I've already seen that before. But this time it's different. The best example I can give without spoiling too much of this is that there's sort of a space junk level where you're flying around, and when you're fighting the final boss, Slippy Toad decides to go in and try to fight the boss with you. Now, if you don't take the boss down fast enough, the boss will hit Slippy's R-Wing, and Slippy will just crash land on a nearby planet. Therefore, in the next mission, when you're at the next cutscene, you don't have Slippy with you, and you guys don't have a choice. StarFox does not have an option. Sergeant General Pepper comes on there and is like, "We need your help, StarFox. You need to come over here and help us." And Fox McCloud is like, "No, we're not going to help you. We got to get our guy back. We got to get Slippy back." And so the next mission, you're forced to go to this planet and to rescue Slippy. And it's like, that's such a cool idea that what you do affects not just, the trajectory of the campaign, but also the cutscenes and like what the characters are thinking and feeling and all of this kind of stuff. It's so much more immersive and depthful than I expected it to be. And for the first time really this year, I've been getting that itch to go back and play it. Like I'll play a round of it or two, and then I'll go do something else, and I've noticed that when I'm out, I'm kind of getting that itch. I want to go back and play StarFox again. I want to do this route. What if I did it this way? How would it look if I did this that way? And it was like, it draws me back in. And it's such a quick, easy, digestible campaign that you don't need to worry about spending all day running through it. You don't need to devote hours and hours to get a great experience out of it. The other great addition to this title is the battle mode. This is an awesome mode where you can either battle bots just like offline. You can obviously go online and play people online, or you can do, I believe you can do local. I don't know. I never tried. I need to check into that. Sorry. That's one thing I did not look into. But this mode is really, really great, but it's got a big flaw. Went on here, played it for a while, was having a blast until I realized that there's only 3 arenas. There's only 3 levels. If this had 8 levels or even 6 levels, it'd be perfect. But the fact that there's not enough levels and there's only 3 is such a bummer, because this would have been such a fantastic experience if there just was more content here. I just really, really, really want more. Unfortunately, maybe down the road, they'll give us DLC and they'll just say, hey, here's 4 more battle maps that you can have, as downloadable content, which is great and bad. I would love it all just to be on the cartridge day one, because I don't get the feeling like we're going to get much DLC for this title, because this is more of a budget title. But if we could just get a couple more battle maps, that would be perfect. One of the things I do love about these kind of games, speaking of the battle maps, is that when you go online, you have your own like character banner and your own name and then your own little icon. And of course, all of that stuff is unlockable. Doing normal missions or campaign routes or fighting bosses on different difficulties or completing challenges and getting achievements, you will unlock more customizable things for your avatar. Whether that's like if you're using like the Nintendo Switch 2 camera thing, you can be different characters, and obviously more characters are unlocked as you played, but also your little name badge. Like, I eat that stuff up, man. I get really addicted to unlocking all that stuff. Even though I'm never going to play this game online and no one's ever going to see my player card, I always want to have the coolest player card, and that gives me enough of a reason to go back and, I'm going to try to beat Andros on expert difficulty. I want to try to beat the true ending on that, on that difficulty level. And it's just it's a stupid, superficial reason for me to keep going back, and it just gives me a little bit of incentive to keep going. Ultimately, my biggest complaint and flaw of this title is the same with the battle mode, which is that while what is here is all great, I just wish there was just a little bit more. Like, I wish they would have just made a couple more new planets and just kind of mixed it up a little bit, said, hey, we're going to give you this, but we're also going to add in bonus planets to where after you have unlocked every planet, maybe there's 3 or 4 new planets that are just brand new, right? So you've got all of this, kind of other stuff, but there's also going to be some surprises in there that we didn't tell you about. Unfortunately, as far as I can see, I haven't obviously beaten this game on expert level yet, but I doubt that there's anything else to unlock as far as that's concerned. Plus, that would be unfortunate to lock all of that behind expert level completion. That would be terrible. Like, most people would never, ever get to that. So, really just wanting more is ultimately the core flaw of this title, is that I just wish there was just a little bit more. However, this game really reminds me of one of those cozy old games from like the early 2000s. Like, this reminds me a lot of like Super Mario Strikers. When you look back and look at the first Super Mario Strikers for the GameCube, there's really not a lot there. You kind of go through the campaign, you go through the, the tournament, you eventually fight the battle bot things at the end, and then you unlock that as a playable character. And there's some things to kind of do, but really the point of the game is just playing, the matches. That's the point of Mario Strikers. This is sort of the same way with StarFox for the Switch 2. The point of this game are those levels and those challenges and just replaying it over and over like a classic arcade game. And so while for a modern audience, it feels like there's maybe not a ton of levels and a huge world to explore, what is here is incredible. So you really got to ask yourself when you're jumping into a title like this, do you want quantity or quality? Because Star Fox has all the quality, just not a lot of quantity. So it's really that kind of give and take. And once again, I said this is a budget title. For those of you living in the United States, the digital copy of this is only $50. The physical edition is $60, which I went physical. Of course, I'm a big Star Fox fan, so I got to get the physical edition if that's, going to be a thing. And so I do feel like this is appropriately priced. This is not one of those new $80 Nintendo titles that's super expensive. If this was $80, it would have totally tanked. And, it's not worth the $80. But for the fans like myself, 60 is perfect. For people that are getting into the franchise, give it a download at 50. Give it a try. I guarantee you, if you were to download it, you probably would never delete it off your hard drive. You probably would keep it on the Switch at all times because it's just short, really fun bursts of just excitement and danger, and you just want to keep going back. I can't stress that enough. You just always want to go back and play this game, and these are the kind of games that I absolutely love. I've said before on here, I really want to get into RPGs. RPGs is something I've always wanted to be a fan of, but they're just so long. And I've heard from a lot of people that love RPGs, well, you got to get into it. You've got to put about 5 hours into it before it kind of clicks and before you start to kind of get it. And it's like, that just sounds like a big commitment. What if I spend the 5 hours and I end up hating it? It's like, well, I just wasted 5 hours. With games like this, with games like Star Fox, within like 10 minutes whether you like it or not. And my guess is that most people that like action shooter games are going to enjoy this. It's highly addictive and highly fun and very competitive. I get really competitive when I'm playing the Star Fox title. One other final thing I did want to mention that I thought was kind of fun was that out here in Japan, they have launched a Star Fox merch line of 4 plushies for Fox, Slippy, Peppy, and Falco, and they are absolutely adorable. They are really, really cute. I was kind of hoping that they were going to give us some kind of like a cool pin or like something kind of smaller that you could get. Maybe in time they will. They might just be testing out the plushies. But I was really excited to see Star Fox start to get some love. He did just appear in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. He's got his own game now on the Switch too. And I feel like this is sort of a nice renaissance for Fox. Like, I've loved him ever since the 64 when I first played him. I loved him also on Smash for the 64. He's been a main of mine since the 64 days, going into Melee, obviously, where he was way overpowered, and then all the way up to Ultimate now. I still play as him. But I feel like they're ready. I think if you were to take this same development team that did a great job on this game and say, okay, you've remade 64, and you know the basic gist of what Star Fox is, do your own thing now. What would you do with Star Fox? Give them sort of free reign to test some ideas. And I know that when developers work with Nintendo, it's very give and take. Developers will pitch ideas and Nintendo will respond or say no or whatever. They've always got the final say on their IP. But give these guys could be the next Mercury Steam. What Mercury Steam has done for Metroid, let these guys do for Star Fox. Like, I really think that they understand this franchise and these characters so well. I mean, these cutscenes are fantastic. These are the best these characters have ever been, which is all original stuff from them. And then the combat and the gameplay is also there. Like, they have nailed both of these perfectly. And I just would love to see what they do in the future. I think that they have the future of this franchise. They just let them run with it. Let them pitch you about 3 different ideas, pick one of those, and just make a sequel. Do your own thing. I heard somebody online also recently say that they should remake Star Fox 2 because that game was never originally released, and now all we have is the Super Nintendo ROM that's out there, and it'd be nice to redo that title, but in this, engine and art style. If they were to release Star Fox 2 just like this one next year, I'd be first in line to buy it. I want more of this. Like, yes, let's do more. I want to see more characters. I want to see more vehicles. Some of my favorite stuff in this, honestly, was not even in the R-Wing. I loved the underwater level with the submarine. It's so pretty and it looks so beautiful. Like, I loved that level so much. I also love like the snow levels. I don't want to get too much into it and spoil it for anybody that has never played it. But if you have never played a Star Fox game, this is the perfect place to jump in. This is where you start. Don't go back and play the Super Nintendo one. That's a little too janky. You don't need to go back and do 64. I don't think you need to touch the 3DS or the Wii U one. The question I asked at the beginning of this review, is this the definitive Star Fox experience? And I can confidently say yes. This is the Star Fox game that I will be going back to forever, or maybe not forever, unless they outdo this one somehow. But from now on, this is my standard Star Fox. When I want to play a Star Fox title, this is the one I will go to, hands down. Unless I want something specific from one of those other titles, like if I want to play on old hardware or something like that, this will be my definitive Star Fox. And I'm so happy to see that this has just been a home run. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. I figured just really, really quick here at the end of this, I would just go ahead and rank some of my favorite Star Fox titles from the past. I would say at the bottom of the list, unfortunately, is Star Fox Zero. Not a controversial take. That Wii U title was a super disappointment, and it's only because of the controls. Beautiful visuals, really interesting character designs. I loved it overall, but just that whole Wii U gamepad thing, man, I just got frustrated with it and just kind of gave up on it. Really disappointing. After that, I would say probably Star Fox Command. I've only played a little bit of that. I never really had a DS, but what I've played of Command, I just didn't like it. But then again, I don't really care for the DS as a platform anyway. I think the 3DS is far superior. So I would say Star Fox Command is the second to last there. After Star Fox Command would be, for me, Star Fox, the original one on the Super Nintendo. I never grew up with this. I was super, super young when the Super Nintendo came out, so this whole original Star Fox thing just passed me by. I wasn't even aware of it. And for me, it's kind of too old and janky, and I just can't get into it. I can appreciate it for starting the franchise. I see the blueprints, I see the starting of it, but it's just not for me. Sorry, I just can't get into it. After that would be Star Fox Adventures. I loved the GameCube. It's still my favorite platform from Nintendo. And this was an interesting Star Fox. I just love the character of Fox. And so to see him out of the R-Wing and having an on-foot adventure, I didn't really mind that. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was an interesting idea. So for me, it was fine, you know? It wasn't the best thing in the world, but it also wasn't, definitely for me, not the worst. After that would be Star Fox Assault. This is the game I want on NSO the most. The fact that you could go in and out of your R-Wing, like you could park it, get out, do exploratory things, shoot, do other stuff, get back in and fly away. Please. I hope that is the future for Star Fox. I would love to see that return in the franchise. Please, please, please give us back that Star Fox Assault mechanic again. I'm dying to see it again. And then for the last two, it's between 64 and 3DS, and I've got to say, to be honest with you, 64 would be number 2. While I love 64, I'm super nostalgic for it. I loved it. I had it on my 64 when I was a kid. It is just dated. It is a lot older. It'll always have a special place in my heart, but for me, 64 3D is just far superior. The visuals, you know, the redone music, the new art style for, you know, all of the characters and stuff. That's the one I always was going back to whenever I wanted to play Star Fox. You know, even though 64 is on my Switch too, on NSO, I'd pull out my 3DS and play that one instead. That was always my favorite one to go back to. Until now, number 1, of course, being Star Fox for the Switch 2. I'm so happy that they knocked this out of the park. I was really nervous when I saw the Direct. I was like, I don't know how this is going to be. What's this going to be like? The new designs are kind of weird. But after playing it, spending a couple hours with it this weekend, I'm in love, baby. It's fantastic. It's everything I wanted and more. Except for, obviously, some of the things that aren't there, unfortunately. Man, yeah. Just a couple more battle missions. Like, instead of the 3, give us like 4 or 5. Anyway, I don't want to spoil the moment. I love this game. if you've got a Switch 2 and you love shooters at all, you got to give this a try. It is a solid entry for the Switch 2, and for me, it's a must-own. It's one of the rare must-owns for the Switch 2. On the Switch 2, a must-own for me is Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokopia, and now StarFox. Those are my 3 must-owns. So, yeah, if you've got a Switch 2, don't sleep. Go get it. Check it out. But I don't know. Just want to give some of my thoughts today on StarFox. I'm really passionate about this franchise. I hope more people are talking about this, But I don't know. Just wanted to give a quick review on this. But anyway, thanks for stopping by today. And as always, take care of each other out there.